Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Several videos ago, I did a video where I did my best to redefine masculinity for the modern age. Because God knows everybody is getting tired from the gender war. I sure am feeling the fatigue. And if you're like me, you would like to see something done about it. In that video, we defined 3 pillars in a system that I made that when put together, make a spectrum that can help us define masculinity. But while I did yap quite a bit last video, that video was more for just defining what those 3 aspects of masculinity are. We didn't really go in depth about how to go about cultivating those aspects. So that is what today's video is for. Specifically, we'll be talking about the first pillar of masculinity. But of course, before the video begins, here's my safety net. I'm not an expert. This is just what I have observed through my life experiences. I'm not an MLA approved source, unfortunately. And of course, the most important disclaimer of all, what I talk about in these videos is not just for men. All the videos where I talk about masculinity and femininity, none of them are made to attack men or women. I'm not discriminating against anybody here. So when I say words like masculine or masculinity, I'm not referring to men, okay? Masculinity and femininity is a spectrum that can apply to anyone. That's very true here. All of it is to help get a better perspective of what I think we should be going towards. Because it sure as hell is not this bullshit, which I am so fucking tired of. Please, Pete, I need this. Shut the hell up. I'm just trying to show that there are better ways to think about masculinity than just to scream generalized opinions on twitter.com. And I don't think it's a requirement, but if you would like to give me a little bit watch time, please, because I need money, I recommend watching that video. Shameless YouTuber plug, because this video is basically just gonna be expanding on a small part of what we discussed in that video. Guys, I'm so hungry. Please, just thank you always for the support. Please help so I can touch the algorithm before it touches me. Let's get on with the video. Okay, so a quick review of what the Chad pillar entails. The first pillar of masculinity deals with how masculinity interacts with other masculinity. There are 2 aspects, and both of them are very openly hierarchical. Hierarchical. Conflict and competition, and camaraderie, or brotherhood, in a platonic context. As we've covered before, aspect 1, which is masculine conflict, your aptitude in this aspect is measured by your ability to navigate any scenario involving conflict or competition and emerge as the victor. To get those dubs and victory royales, job markets, dating pools, street fights, competitive humor, competitive gaming, Wordle in my group chat for some reason. Aspect 2, masculine friendship structures, also deal with competition and hierarchy, but with friends instead of foes. Being good at the aforementioned skills in aspect 1 gains you more respect in a given hierarchy. And these activities that provide direct competition in brotherhoods or sisterhoods, we don't discriminate here, is a form of healthy competition, which is healthy. And finally, skills related to male friendship structures are learned primarily through trickle down, which is when someone lower on the hierarchy learns from somebody higher on the hierarchy. So maybe from like a brother or a father or a friend or something. Today, however, we are just going to be focusing on aspect 1, or competition. But weirdly enough, like sometimes, especially with guys, when I see them try to cultivate certain aspects of masculinity, they often overlook some little things that, while they think don't matter, actually make a really big impact. Now, you don't need to be like perfect necessarily, or just be like the flashiest, like loudest person in the room. I think that's stupid. But if you're not well put together and you don't have good personal hygiene, other people will be able to feel that down to the deepest parts of their balls. And if they don't have balls, everyone can tell if you look like a piece of shit. Well, it's a good thing this video is sponsored by Tiege Hanley. Now, if you're a guy like me, skincare was not something that was pushed on you very heavily. I didn't really understand the value of it. And also, like, I had no idea where to start, even if I did want to get into it. Skincare just seemed to me like this thing that was like out of reach, or something that would never be within my wheelhouse. But that's why today I partnered with Tiege Hanley. Getting into skincare, I didn't want some like complicated routine that requires like an eldritch machine, or like a special face mask made out of the nut skin of a bear born on a leaf year. I just wanted something that was built for guys, that works and takes like 2 minutes. And that is exactly what Tiege does. Tiege Hanley was like a beacon in the middle of my journey of how to take care of my skin. Face wash, exfoliate, moisturize, done. And they have different packs. So if you want a routine that gives you a little more or a little less, they got you covered. I personally like how simple it made skincare. The routine for taking care of my face is very quick, and I actually look forward to it. You want to try it? Click my link below. You'll get up to 40% off your first box, which is an insane deal in my opinion, plus a free gift worth $20. And members get 20% off for life. Small upgrades compound. That's the true masculine habit. And that's doubly true for skincare. Thanks again to Tiege Hanley for sponsoring the video. Let's get back to it. Alright, so now that we reviewed what the Chad pillar entails, I'd like to talk a little bit about the importance and the necessity of it. Now, of course, these are not iron pillars that you have to adhere to 24 hours a day. If you don't follow a Chad pillar, you're not just gonna suddenly shrivel up into a small rat or something. In fact, I would encourage it, but if you are a human being on this planet and in society, which you are, it is a requirement that you at least understand this pillar. Direct confrontation and the inevitable sorting that comes as a result of it is one of the oldest laws of our planet. This is not something that is negotiable or arguable. It is just true. Only the strong can belong. How to Train Your Dragon. But we are no longer living in caveman times, and thus this rule has to be adjusted. So, only the strong can belong does not apply as much anymore. And for good reason, it really sucked back then. But that doesn't mean that we have to get rid of the concept completely, because that's a huge mistake. All of the skills related to competition stem from independent competence of these three branches: defense, offense, and strategy. Now, I realize that this sounds very primitive. Defense and offense and strategy? What is this, a game of chess? Well, yes, actually. Alright, so defense. Defense can be boiled down to your ability to keep negative things from affecting you during direct conflict and competition. Traits associated with this branch of the Chad pillar include resilience, self-control, emotional strength, calmness, level-headedness, but it can also apply to physical traits such as endurance or strength in the regard of like how much you can tank. Examples of defense coming into play. Let's say that you got shoved during a physical altercation because you said someone's sports team sucks ass. Good defense would mean, number one, physically not falling over, but number two, it would also involve controlling yourself and not exploding into a blind ball of rage. Another example, let's say that somebody insulted you, whether it be directly or indirectly. Defense would involve you not letting the insult get to you, and in turn, maybe restraining yourself, at least before you bite back, which we'll talk about in a second. Or if you're playing a game with your friends, defense would mean not getting tilted if you're getting your ass kicked, and not becoming a washed goat. Now, physical and mental defense are two incredibly different technical concepts, but fortunately, the nature of all of it means that there's a lot of overlap. It's no coincidence that soldiers are both physically strong and mentally tough. To cultivate physical defense for the average person, I would just recommend working out. Besides the obvious advantage of gaining physical strength, visibly fit people, both men and women, are seen as stronger. Not to say that if you don't work out, people are going to perceive you as weak. I don't think that's true at all, but I'm saying that if you are perceived as strong, you have such a big advantage, whether it's true under the surface or not. In my personal experience, personally, I've been getting absolutely touched by my senior year, so I haven't been working out as much. But back when I was working out, I noticed a very significant difference in how people treated me, how they looked at me. I was looked down on less. People saw me more of like a role model almost. I'm also not saying that you have to get an insane Schwarzenegger body in order to have a good defense. Every trait involving conflict and competition scales with your need, okay? So keep that in mind throughout the whole rest of the video. I don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger because I don't need to, but they do. That being said, I probably should get back to going to the gym. I've become quite a frail small twink. To cultivate mental resilience and defense. Fortunately, if you're already working out and you're intelligent, there's a good chance that mental resilience is going to come on its own without you needing to do much. But if you want to boost this stat purely through mental means, I would recommend any kind of activity that helps you practice regulating your emotions and controlling yourself. Meditating sounds cringe, but I have known people that it worked for them. Putting down your frickin' phone is also a great way to exercise your mental defense, and also drilling specific ways of thinking into your programming, such as not caring about how you're being perceived by others. The goal is to just basically grow your brain in like a personal lab to make it so that it's as clear-headed and calm as possible in any situation, friendly or otherwise. Remember, defense is all about how you don't react to someone poking you with a stick. But what if purely defense is not enough to get them to stop poking you? Or what if it's a competition to see who can poke the other person with the stick more? Well, then let's talk about offense. So, while defense discussed how you don't react to opponents in conflict, offense deals with how you do react, or maybe even how you make the first offensive move. True offense deals with any kind of move that you make that takes you towards a certain goal. Sometimes you won't even be directing this offense towards an opponent. You'll be just directing it straight towards a goal. But the one thing that I think is the biggest key for offense is initiative. because moving offensively requires that you throw yourself into situations that you have less control over, which can be scary, but will also yield greater things than if you're just relying on defense alone. Sitting in an iron fortress will not make your opponent suddenly just die on their own. Getting out of the fortress will. Some examples. Here's a very simple one: being more aggressive when you're sparring. I don't think I need to explain that one. Or having a good comeback while bantering, taking risks, making a joke in a joke circle, having a more aggressive upload schedule, which moving on. Gambling is technically a form of offense, but albeit a poor one. If you want a better version of that, I guess you could say bluffing in poker. So how do you cultivate offense? Cultivating offense involves cultivating traits that lead to initiative. Offense requires initiative. Initiative requires confidence, and confidence requires competence and self-love, I guess. Or rather, the belief that you are competent. So in short, if you want to be good at offense, you first need to get good at something and then believe you're good at it. Whether it be academics, fighting, flirting, whatever. Self-confidence is a requirement for winning in competition most of the time. To cultivate this, I recommend not grading yourself too harshly, not comparing yourself to those above you if it's hurting you, and appreciating what you have. I think that's how you become a more confident individual, in short. My personal experience, I used to be a very, very timid person. I'm still working on it, if I'm being completely honest, but I've gotten better at it over the years, and I will say that taking risks and being a little bit more outgoing is a hell of a lot better than just relying on internal strength to take you through life, because it's not enough. So now we've got two sides of a coin. We've got defense, which means resilience and a clear head, and offense, which means confidence and competence. But there is one more thing that we need to tie it all together. Let's talk about strategy. It's one thing to understand how offense and defense work independently, but the best victors and players in the game will know how to mesh these two concepts together and have them work together hand in hand in order to produce the best results. Book smarts will not help with strategy. Strategy comes from understanding how all the moving parts in life work. It means picking apart the chaos and inserting yourself into that chaos so that you can control the right parts of it to help you reach your goals. Strategy comes from, number one, knowing where to best use offense versus defense, and two, strategy involves doing little things that will boost your odds and boost your offense and defense. Some examples of strategy: knowing when to insult someone back or when to just let your defense tank it. There are situations where it's appropriate to bite back and situations when it is not. Conserving stamina during a marathon or drafting behind someone. Those are both strategies you use to give yourself an edge, instead of full-on fucking sprinting it towards the end like a maniac, although admittedly it works for some people. Or researching a specific teacher before your semester begins to gain favor with them. I've known people who do that to great effect, and it does wonders for them. Another general situation, setting the terms of a conflict so that you can fight on your own terms. Alternatively, not taking a fight if you know that you're fighting on someone else's terms. Strategy is the one thing that I think separates people who are just part of the game to actual players of the game. Because with offense and defense, I often see a lot of people talk about principle, like, oh, like which principle is better? It's like there's no principle. There is only the situation and what is best for that situation. If your principle loses, then, I mean, great for you for holding on to your principles, but you are going to lose to somebody who is willing to sacrifice their principles. Now, I'm not saying that you should do some fucking atrocious shit, okay? That's not what I'm saying here. I realize that I'm making it sound like everybody out there should be trying to be some like psychotic Machiavellian. No, okay? I'm just saying that, like, if you're playing a game of poker and your principle is to just bluff all the time, you are going to lose. John Wick did not win all of his fights because he was somebody who believed in the principle of only using a handgun. If that was the case, I'm gonna be honest, he would probably be dead, even if he is John Wick. So, how do you cultivate strategy? In my opinion, it's a bit harder, but you can start with this. In a given competitive setting, it helps to know as much as you can. Make an effort to understand the terms to get rid of all the fog of war. Another way to cultivate strategy, you can start looking at things for what they actually are instead of all the stuff that surrounds it. And that's some very Confucius-ass advice, and I know that that sounds very like philosophical, but it's very true. For example, instead of judging someone's actions, judge the outcome, because at the end of the day, that's what truly matters. And finally, in order to be a good strategist, you have to understand that there are always going to be things that are outside of your control. But it is not going to help if you just sit there and like just whine about it. Like, not to be kind of mean about it, but it's true. If there's something that's outside of your control, you should focus on what's actually in your control so that you can turn the odds in your favor, because trying to control something that cannot be controlled is a waste of energy and time, and I've seen it again and again. It just goes wrong. Strategy is the branch of competition and conflict which is not as easily taught. The best way to learn and be good at strategy is to keep your wins when you win and learn from your losses when you lose.
No, no, no. Oh.
All right, so I think I yapped for a very long time. Again, I hope that some of that information was useful to you, and I hope that you do not use it to go out and manipulate people like Lucius Malfoy. The next time I make a video about this topic, I have no idea when it's gonna be, but it'll come at some point. We'll be talking about aspect 2 of the Chad pillar, which is masculine friendship structures or hierarchies, and how conflict and competition tie directly into that. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts, because I actually really enjoyed reading your guys' comments. I actually got some new insights. I swear I'm not trying to just trick you into making the algorithm touch me. And once again, thank you to T. Shanley for sponsoring the video. I would actually genuinely recommend them. Have a marvelous
Wednesday.